Reporting for the Department of Information and Public Relations, I am GIS Officer Lennard Stevens reporting. GIS sat down with Dr. Allison Flax-Archer, creator of The Box. What's The Box? Dr. Flax-Archer explains.
It's a game. It can be used as a game, but it can also be used in the classroom. It highlights glimpses of our history from people, politicians, places, some of our folklore, and I am really excited about sharing it with you. I must start by saying that the box is inside the bag, which is called a crocus sack. It's a replica of a crocus sack. I was visiting with Mrs. Eileen Parsons the other day. I call her Miss P. And she looked at me and she was super excited about this new venture. And she said, oh, but yes, it's the crocus sack. But as Virgin Islanders, we called it a cruda bag. And a cruda bag, essentially, it's the same thing. It's just that the crocus sack, which is the correct name, is not indigenous to the BVI, but rather to the Caribbean, where on slave plantations they would take goods. In BVI, we would take flour, we would take other provisions within the bag, and I'm actually going to let Miss P on Thursday say a little bit about what else we did with this cruda bag, so I'll call it a cruda bag today.
The box creator shared the origin story behind the educational game.
This idea was actually born many years ago, and it was completed during 2020, during COVID, and I'll tell you how that came about. The idea was born because as a child, my parents would call me nosy. I wanted to know everything from where lizards went when it flooded or during hurricanes to, okay, this one is a bit morbid, to what happens to the deceased when rigor mortis kicks in, when the body decomposes. So I would have a ton of questions, basically. I would ask tons of questions, and they called me nosy. They called me very inquisitive. But I prefer, as I got older, I prefer to use the word investigative. It just sounds better. But I just love to know things. So over the years, I'd be like a sponge. I would soak up everything. I would ask questions. Hence, the box was created. Now, how I came to finish it. I was sitting on our porch during 2020, and I was going through the actual manuscripts for the hanging of Arthur Hodge, which is also in the box. And I was just amazed. There is a book that highlights that hanging, but the book is nothing like the transcript. The transcript tells you everything. It talks about Perrine George and her involvement with the whole hanging, because she was a critical witness at that time. And I was just reading through, and my husband came, and I think he passed in front of me a few times. He said, "What are you doing? You haven't even noticed me." So I started telling him, I said, "You've got to see this. This is absolutely insane." So I think what pushed me to finish it is that I believe that people need to know. They need to be a little bit more aware. Students need, within the classroom and outside of the classroom, they need to enjoy learning history. Not that they're not, but I think that there's a more enjoyable way to learn history. So teachers can use the cards within the box in the classroom setting. They can pull maybe 3 cards depending on how long the session is, and then ask the students, and that way they can start that conversation. The box has 3 purposes, really. It's really to educate those that do not know, have no knowledge of our history. It's to initiate, that's the critical part. It's to initiate conversation, because we have fantastic historians throughout this territory that know bits and pieces, from our parents to the Miss P's to and I won't start calling any more names, but just the conversation that I had with Miss P with regards to the crocus sack, which now I know to Virgin Islanders was the cruda bag, that's adding to the knowledge, so that conversation, so initiating conversations amongst those that know the history, and it's also to inspire those tourists and other persons to see how they can add to the positive fabric of this community, because I believe everyone has a place within this community, and if you reside here, you should want to know. You should want to know where you live, why you're here, and where we came from, and whose shoulders we're standing on that are deceased, but also still living.
What's in the box? 150 individual cards with great questions and answers about Virgin Islands culture and history, along with did you knows like this one.
What was the Virgin Islands Secondary School named to? And that's an easy one. So I flip it, and there's a point system attached to it. So if you're playing it as a game, you can attach the points. So of course, that's the BVI High School. And then there's a did you know fact on the card as well. So this can initiate conversation. It says, did you know the Virgin Islands Secondary School was renamed the BVI High School in 1968? In 2007, the BVI High School was renamed the Elmore Stout High School. After the two devastating hurricanes of 2017, the L-shaped building at the Elmore Stout High School was renovated and named the Lillian Dorothy Turnbull Building. Mr. Stout and Ms. Turnbull were appropriately honored for their dedication and work in education in the Virgin Islands.
And Lennard, Deputy Director of Culture, joined in on the conversation and lauded Dr. Flax-Archer for creating the box.
This box that has been created is very unique for us because ordinarily we do simply just launch books. And this is something that is very unique, has its own character, a game which will obviously create conversation among persons in various households. And I see it also being a tool for our teachers under our social studies curriculum, and there are some of our schools as well that also have Virgin Islands Studies Club, where some of them every Friday they actually concentrate with their classes on doing cultural events with their students. Nowadays, because of how we interact even with our families and persons in our household, we don't talk as much as we used to. And I keep saying we need to put our phones down and turn off the TV. And that which we were missing by our grandparents communicating the historical knowledge to us can now be acquired by simply engaging with each other with a game now, the box.
The box, designed for all ages, is now available for purchase at Nutmeg and Nook. The public is invited to the launch of the box on Thursday, May 19th at 6 p.m. at the Bamboushay Lounge. All are welcome to watch the unboxing of Virgin Islands culture and history.